A while ago, one of my viewers asked me, how do I manage my time and how do I get everything done? The short answer is, I don't get all of the things done. I can't. It's impossible. It's just too much. But I do make it a point to make regular progress on all of the things that are important to me. Anyway, I'm going to try my best now to share with you some tips I have that might be useful to you if you want to get a lot of things done but don't have so much time. I usually write down all the things that I want to do and want to achieve regardless if I can realistically do them or not. This is what I call a brain dump. I just put everything that is on my mind that I want to accomplish on paper so I can see everything there. And once everything is there, it kind of puts things into perspective. When previously everything looked important, now I can see the relative importance of things. I can see that, okay, this thing A here is important, but it's not as important as Z, or K over here is important, but L is slightly more important than that. So I'm going to prioritize that. So that's one thing, having a good overview of the things, of all the things that you want to do and want to achieve. But of course, it's impossible to do all these things at once and cram everything into one day or even a week or a month, which brings me to the main point of this video, which is about managing your energy. Many people think that the thing they need to manage is their time. And in some sense, that is correct. Our appointments, our schedule at work, our meetings are all defined by time. It is set at a certain time for a certain time frame. And that is why we think in terms of hours, in terms of days, minutes, and so on. But what I've experienced from the past 5 years of really intensively working on many different things at once is that what you really need to be managing is your energy level. Think about this. On average, people work 40 hours per week if they work full-time. Of course, there are people who work 55 hours, 60 hours, and so on. Let's just take 40 hours as an example. And now try to estimate of those 40 hours that you work, how many hours are actually really productive and effective? Most likely not the full 40 hours, right? It is likely to be somewhere between 30 hours and 35 hours. And a while ago, I even read in a research paper that every day out of the 8 hours that people work, their effective time working is actually only 3 hours. And you might be surprised at first, but if you really think about it, it kind of makes sense. And the reason is because there is a limit to which people can actually focus on a task. So you might have the time, you might have the 40 hours per week to work, but how much energy do you actually have? Let me know if you ever had this kind of experience. You started your working day on Monday, and on Monday you had a bunch of meetings. Let's say you have 3 or 4 one-hour Zoom meetings, and you had 2 presentations to prepare and a bunch of admin work to do. So you worked those 8 hours full on a Monday. And on Tuesday, you kind of repeated the same. And by Wednesday, you realize that your energy levels are quite low. They are not as high as they were on the Monday, but you've only worked for 16 to 20 hours. And the reason that you feel that way is because your energy levels are already depleted. You've already exerted yourself on Monday and on Tuesday. You've used most of your energy on those 2 days, and now you don't have any more energy left for the remainder of the week. What this means is that you have to manage your energy level very wisely. And this comes with experience. If you've just started to work, then you might not be that aware of it yet. But if you've already worked for a couple of years and started to do many different things, then you can start to get a better feeling of what kind of activities sap your energy. And it will not be the same for everyone. For some people, reading a book might take them a lot of energy. While for other people, like me, for example, meetings, interacting with other people, that is what takes me the most energy because I am an introvert. And you might be too. So you have to be really aware about which kind of activities take up the most energy. so that you don't schedule all those kinds of activities on the same day. Because if you're an introvert and you schedule all those meetings on a day and you have 6 hours full of meetings, then after that, it's likely that you're done for the rest of the week. I like to plan my work on a weekly basis. I also have plans for each month and also for the year and for the longer term, but for every week, I make it a point to look at the things that I want to get done that week and try to manage the tasks when I do what in terms of my energy level. So let's say that in that 1 week, I've identified 3 things that will take me the most energy or the most focus, which is, for example, 1, starting to write a script for a web series, 2, recording YouTube videos like I'm doing right now, and 3, perhaps meeting with someone on Zoom to discuss a new project. So these are things that personally for me would take up a lot of energy and focus. So I would make it a point to schedule these on different days, so I wouldn't bunch them up together. Although I know that for each of these items I would likely take 2 to 3 hours and I could cram everything into one day, I wouldn't do it because it just wouldn't be optimal. So I would try to schedule them on different days and even if possible space them out. And then on the other hand, there are those kind of activities that might take the same amount of time. For example, some tasks that I do for my freelance job that take me around 2 to 3 hours, and as you see, it takes me the same amount of time that I would for example, recording my YouTube videos. But the difference is that the energy that I need to complete those freelance task work is not as much. So I can even do it in the evenings after I've had my dinner and before I start binging on Netflix. Before that, I can set aside 2 hours and work on that, because although it takes me 2 to 3 hours of time, I don't feel a lot of pressure. I don't feel that it takes up a lot of energy. And the same goes for household work. I tend to always do household work at the end of the day or even in the evening or even at night. Why? Because I know that even after a long day of doing other things, I will still have some energy left to do the dishes or do the laundry, because those are the kind of tasks that don't take up a lot of energy for me personally. But again, this will be different for everyone. So you need to identify for yourself what kind of tasks are the things that take up most of your energy and which are the things that might take a lot of time but don't take up as much energy. And you try to combine those things in a way that makes sense. For example, on a Friday, you spend half the day doing things that are energy intensive and then spend the latter half of the day to do things that are less energy intensive. Another tip that I have for you is to review the scope of your work. This means that when you decide to do a task, for example, in my case, for my freelance job or for my YouTube videos, before I start, I need to carefully think about what I will do in these next 2 to 3 hours and also what I will not do, because it will have a large effect on the amount of time it will take, but also on the amount of energy that I will be using up. Reviewing your scope means that before you are about to start a task, decide first what the scope is. What will you do or what will you not do? So in the case of my YouTube example, I will keep the videos shorter, under 10 minutes. So thereby I've reduced the scope. And that is also why I have been able to keep pushing out videos despite my super hectic and busy schedule. And you can do the same if you are working on several different things, but you still want to get yourself to work on the thing that is really important to you. Then you just need to reframe the scope. Let's say that you're working on your personal project, for example, a short film that you've been planning to make for the past 3 years but just haven't started yet. The reason why you have not started might be because the scope that you've written down on paper is just too large and it's intimidating you. So you have to break it down and make the scope smaller. So initially you might have had the plan to make a short film that lasted 20 minutes and had a 30-person crew with 5 casts, and it had to be shot in 10 locations, and you need a $10,000 budget, and so on and so on. But the result is, because it's so intimidating to you, because it might be your first film, you never started it. So why not review the scope and make the thing smaller? Start with a very simple 3-minute short film that you shoot in one location, and write down as your first step to simply write the log line of the story. And even even doing that might take you hours because it's not that easy to come up with a good log line. So to recap, if you want to get a bunch of things done that are important to you in a short amount of time, then first of all, you need a plan. You need to write down everything that you want to do and then try to prioritize the things on the list. Number 2 is that you need to manage your energy and not just your time. And number 3 is you need to review the scope of the things that are on your action list. Guys, I hope this video was useful to you in your effort of getting a bunch of things done. Please do let me know in the comments what you think about these tips, if any of these have changed your mindset or your perspective. If you have tried out any of these, I would really love to know. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.